listen, you might not
You're
like
saying
the
that the root are
NLT.
the patriarchs. You're saying that the root are the patriarchs.
Yeah, let me show
The
you.
root
You
here
might
is
not like
not the patriarchs, it's Christ.
Okay, watch this.
Let me
You
continue.
might not like the NLT, but I don't have to agree with your translation. So in the NLT, look what it says. And since Abraham, can we put that on the screen, please? The NLT?
No.
Oh, okay. Don't worry about it.
I
And
don't
since Abraham,
do paraphrases.
okay, and since Abraham and the other patriarchs were holy, their descendants will also be holy.
Yeah.
So this is literally saying that this whole tree is inheriting and a part of the promises that were made to their forefathers, the root, which is the patriarchs.
Okay, so now let's continue
Very
to see.
simple.
So let's continue to see if that interpretation is
All
correct.
right.
Is root is Christ the root, as he says in John 15, and this, or is the root Abraham? Let's see.
The root is the root right here. Right here in this, or right here in this. Are you asking me a question, or are you just talking?
No. I'm saying let's move forward and see which is correct. Okay, so do not be arrogant towards the branches. I'm sorry. Let's do 17 again. But if some of the branches were broken off, and you, although a wild olive tree, were grafted in among the others, and now share in the nourishing root of the olive tree, do not be arrogant toward the branches. If you are, remember, it is not you who support the root, but the root supports you.
Ooh.
Then, literally what Jesus says here.
No, you can't read that.
Watch this. Jesus, what he says in John 15, I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that does not bear fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. Right? And he continues this. Verse 4, abide in me and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. Remember, verse 18, it is not you who supports the root, but it's the root that supports you. Does that sound familiar when we read it back to back like that?
Yeah, but you're conflating.
Okay, I'm conflating.
All right, you are conflating. It can't be both. What's
Avery?
It can't be both. You said it was the people, then you're saying it's Christ. It can't be both.
I said that the root is Christ. I've been saying this. Look, listen to what I'm saying.
That doesn't make sense. It's the same tree.
If you're saying this, that's fine. If you're saying what I'm saying, it doesn't make sense, but represent what I'm saying. The root is Christ. The branches and the olive tree, Israel. The wild olive tree that is not a part of the original tree are the Gentiles who are grafted in.
Okay, I'm glad. All right, I'm glad you said that. Okay. With that understanding, if Christ is the root, how does Christ support Gentiles?
By giving them salvation, by letting them get the gospel.
Huh? When did he say that?
So Jesus sent his disciples to all nations.
Yeah, but
Jesus said, number one, in Matthew chapter 24, verse 14, he said that this gospel will be preached to the whole world. He also said that in John chapter 17, he prays for those who will come into belief that's in the world, that will come to belief through the words of the apostles. He also says, Matthew 28, that they will be bearing witness, that they're sent out to make disciples of all nations, not just the tribe of Israel, but all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
So that's your proof.
Matthew 10, later on, that the disciples will be bearing witness before kings, Gentiles, and the Israelites. So that's where Christ talks about, that the Gentiles will also.
Okay, no, in Matthew 10, where did he say you was going to be teaching, giving the gospel to the Gentile kings?
Say that again.
In Matthew 10, he said you guys are going to go give the gospel to Gentile kings.
He said that they will be bearing witness before Gentiles and before kings.
But that don't say that you were going to be offering them salvation.
Yeah, they'll be giving them the gospel. Paul, literally, this will happen to Paul.
But he was talking to the 12 disciples. And in Matthew 28, with the Great Commission, if they understood it like you, why in Acts 11, when they went out to all nations, it says the disciples were teaching the word to nothing but the Jews only? Why didn't they believe it like you?
Wait, you got to get all of the context of Acts 11, bro.
Yes, it's serious. Okay, so it's very simple. In Acts chapter 11, This is after the Great Commission. If they took it like you, then they would have been here teaching Gentiles.
Not necessarily.
Gentile. Oh, so they didn't believe in the Great Commission.
Remember who you're dealing with. You're dealing with these people who are slow to understand. So just because
the disciples that he told that to were slow to understand.
Yes, just like the disciples who he said over and over again, I'm going to die, be handed over, be killed, and rise again on the third day. When it happened, they still didn't understand what it literally says they didn't understand what he was saying. And when it happened, even Thomas, he told Thomas, even Thomas said, I got to see the nails, I got to see the holes, I got to see the wounds before I believe this. When Jesus over and over told them what was going to happen, they still didn't understand when it took place. Okay. So now they're in the realization of Jesus giving the command for them to preach to everyone. Now they're in that realization where they have to go do this. And so with this progression, they learn and they adjust. Yeah, we got to give the gospel to the Gentiles. Okay. So it keeps on happening, man. So now, but we're getting away from, the olive tree because we're still not done here.
Okay, that's fine. Listen, I made a promise that I was going to stay through the whole chapter 11. I hope you do me the decency of doing this with you, going through one whole chapter, and then we can end it. You can bring somebody else on. Is that fair?
As long as it's on subject, man. I don't mind.
That's fine. That's fine. All right, go ahead.
So let's see here. So that's the portion. You said I was conflating, but back to back, John 15 and this sounds, almost verbatim.
Like you're trying to get it.
Then it says, then you will say, branches were broken off so that I might be grafted in. Here's my question to you. Because you're saying that the Gentiles are Israelites, that, this wild olive tree, yada, yada, yada. Were these Israelite Gentiles, were they ever a part of the natural tree?
Some may not have been, as far as like knowing they're Israelites, not being scattered, not being influenced in paganism. Yes.
What is a natural branch?
A natural branch is an Israelite that knew who they were, following the